Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 305, I am pleased, a pleasure, a delight to have Shruti Rustagi on the podcast. She is a CFO at Amazon for consumables. Interesting. She is she works work life maximizer, a lifelong pathfinder. Mm. Now, how are you today, my lady?
Hi, Eva. I'm doing well, despite the weather in Seattle.
No, no,
Doing
yeah.
well.
You know what? Yes. Is there ever a sunny day in Seattle? You're like, there was one yesterday. Yeah, you see, that's how many times you got to celebrate it. Mark it on your calendar. Come on now. It's a national holiday.
Feels like one for sure.
There you go. There you go. Now, I have to ask. Now, you are now in Seattle, Washington, in the USA, but you hail from all the way from India, Delhi, right? Now,
Yes.
indeed. So I have to ask, you are quite a driven person. Was that always the case from when you were a kid?
Yes, I suppose my mom would like to definitely say that. So, driven about anything that would drive me. So, anything I liked, I just went full on behind it.
Right. Like, so it was just a case of, yes, okay, study, yes, sports, yes, like season life, yeah.
Sports, no. Studies, yes.
Okay. No, I'm just curious because it's a case of where, it's always interesting to me where someone starts out in life and where they sort of are at this present chapter in their life is quite a considerable journey. And for like someone like yourself to be a CFO, there there must have been yes, quite a long journey from that little schoolgirl to who you are today.
I would say that. And in fact, if I were to give you a share an example, and way, way back, I was in grade three that
Mhm.
time, and it was a debating competition. It was from all the way from grade three to grade eight. It was like part of elementary and all of middle combined.
Hmm.
And one of my teachers just said, "Why don't you give it a shot? You used to do storytelling competitions. You might just like it." And that was it. I went back to my dad and I was like, "I'm going to take part in the debating competition." And he was like, "You can't even write your own debate. Like,
Hmm.
how? You can't do it. You're too young, blah, blah, blah." My mom kept saying the same thing. The competition was about 3 weeks away, but I was hell bent. And I told them, "Listen, okay, fine. This time you write it for me. I learn how to write. I will make sure I win the first prize." Just imagine. I was not just participating, I was like, "I'll win the first prize." I put wager with my mom and dad. To my dad, I told him there was this particular toy I was really after.
Okay.
It was some kind of a game. And I told him, "You're going to get me the next time you go to," there was so we weren't staying in Delhi at that time. We were in some remote corners of India. So
Hmm.
whenever next you go to Delhi, got to get me that. And to my mom, I said, "That day, if I win the first prize, you're going to make me my favorite dish." Obviously, of course, I won the first prize. I worked day in, day out. I would learn the whole thing by heart, expressions, everything. Practice, practice, practice. And I did it. So now you get a sense of the driven individual that I was. And I think back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was that driven. So,
What was the debate about, may I ask?
so this was about if any of you know Mahabharat, it's an epic in India. It's a mythological epic. And that mythological epic is about two sets of the family. There's five brothers and there are 100 brothers. They're on different sides of the family. They're
Hmm.
fighting against each other. One of them is obviously the more bad and evil, the other one is more fair and just. But when the war happens, even the fair and just part of the family, they also do things which you can look at it from two perspectives and say, well, was it fair? Was it not? So,
Mm.
do ends justify the means? Was the crux of that debate. I obviously didn't know enough of mythology. I didn't have those writing skills. So, my dad helped me write the whole thing out. And I was going in for to say that, yes, it was a fair war. And sometimes the end do justify the means. That was what I was going for. If you ask me, do I still hold that belief today? Not sure, but that time it did make complete sense to me.
Well, like, it comes down to this. Do you feel like you're doing something truly justified to, like, yeah, justify your actions or mean at that in this present stage in your life? But like, I won't go there yet, but we'll get there eventually. But yeah, so where did, like, as a young third grader going against eighth graders, like, yes, bigger kids and like, yeah, more just down the line a lot more. Like, where did that confidence come from to be like, yeah, you know what? I am going to enter this debate, but I'm going to win. Where did that come from? Was it your parents or was it just something within you from the beginning?
This one's a little tough to answer because I think there is part of it which was always in me from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have always been that's what my parents tell me, a kind of a person who's like, if there's a problem, we can do something to solve it.
Mm.
Okay. However, what I've also realized over the years, because see, that grade kid hadn't seen a lot of life. Everything had been rosy till then. So continuing with the confidence was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But what I did do and realize over time is that the way to gain and continue to have confidence is just to go out there and do it.
Mm.
Put yourself in that place. I mean, think about it. I'm telling you about that debate incident. It wouldn't have happened had I not just went and put myself out there. And that fuels itself. So the next time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, can I even do this? I can go back and say, I have done it once. What stops me from doing it another time? And over the years, what I learned was that the one thing that would sometimes hold me back is, okay, what if I fail? What will my teacher say? Will she say, oh, you lost? We told you so. And then I would just think back to myself, it's fine if they do that. I tried. And so what you hold yourself against is what gives you the confidence, is what I have believed throughout my life. So the best way to gain confidence in my books, keep doing and you will keep getting more confident. That's how it is.
Yes, like this is the thing. I would say, like, just to sort of add to that, like, to gain confidence, you need to put yourself into the uncomfortable spaces in life because when you just sort of just sit back and you're just like, okay, I've got my comfortable slippers on and like, yeah, I'm sitting down in my comfy chair and yeah, life is like, yeah, rise up to this challenge, see what you can do. Yeah, you're quite you're comfortable and confident in that chair, but if you get tested with anything or if anything new comes up, you're not going to be ready to step up for that challenge, you know?
And you will never be ready unless you try.
Mm, yeah.
And that's always the case. And there's always a step up. And there's always that thing in our heads, oh my God, how am I going to do this?
Hmm.
We will never if we don't try.
Oh, wow, indeed. I don't know if you had some deep philosophical vibe when you were a third grader, like, yeah, you know
No.
what? Like, yeah. I need to get my confidence up. So here I am going for all these challenges. So was this like the sort of like would you say that was one of the key sort of foundation blocks to like going, oh yeah, there is something here for you?
I would say it was kind of a foundation block, but like you said, I didn't realize the power of that incident
Mm,
till much, much later in my life. For me, it was, yeah, happened. I became a debater. And then everybody at school was like, oh, yeah, she is a debater. She debates really well.
Mm.
Throughout my school life, I would do that. And then it was just, yeah, I'm good at it. I didn't realize it till much later in life. And that was honestly the true pivot of when I had to like get myself back up
Mm.
and start being confident again. And that took effort. And that's where all of my thinking that I just shared with you guys came from. Definitely not from that third grader.
Well, like you said, when you get up. So was there a period what brought you down? Could you tell us about that?
For sure. So in India, there's something called IITs, Indian Institute of Technology.
Yes.
Like, it's like the Harvard of India, if you can say that, or MIT of India.
I'll go MIT. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like this technology institute
Mm.
where the acceptance ratio is less than, I think, 0.2% or something. It's like extremely low.
Tough.
A lot of bright kids would compete for it, would prepare for it for 2 years plus. There's an entrance exam, you have to clear it,
Mm.
and then you get through it. So
Yeah.
it's super prestigious. And so I was trying for engineering, and I had been a straight A student. Everybody knew, oh, she's smart, she'll get through. Like it was just oh yeah, she'll make it. And
Mm.
I did not. The first time I gave the exam, I didn't even get like a rank. So you get these ranks based on which it gets determined which department you can go to, which IIT. So there are, I think, 6 of them or something, which IIT you can go to, and so on.
Mm.
I didn't even get a rank to qualify for that process. I tried again the next year. I did get a rank, it was much lower. And then I just decided it's okay, I can live without it. I'll do my engineering from some other place. And I did that. But that had such a big downer for me. Like I was almost, if I knew what depression is, probably I was in some zone of that depression the first year when my result came out and I didn't get through.
Mm.
I just didn't want to do anything. I would lie in my bed crying away for like hours and days. And, anything my mom and dad would say would not do it for me because they were parents. They would say everything out of love. Oh no, you're good. It will happen. Even if it doesn't happen, life doesn't end there. Now, when I look back, I see, yes, of course, life doesn't end there. What was I? But in that moment, everything was finished. You know, and I get a pit in my stomach even today when I think about it. But think about like that moment I felt I'm not a good student. I'm not smart. I'm not good enough. I'm not good at anything. If I can't be good at this, so, it was like my whole world crumbling down. And that's when the next year I tried, it didn't happen. I decided to go pursue my engineering in some other college. And gradually, during those 4 years of my engineering, I built myself up brick by brick. It was like, I'm still good. I need to do this. It didn't fully heal till almost, you'll be surprised, till almost 14 years later. It didn't fully heal even till then.
Mm.
Because I had remnants of it inside of me till much, much longer. I always had that. Whenever I made a mistake, when I didn't understand something, I'd be like, oh, just because I'm not smart enough. Maybe
Mm.
that's why I don't get it. So,
Yeah, no, because this is the thing. Like, I can only imagine, like, if you were like hitting like straight A's, like success academically was like, yeah, like your bedfellow, like, and like you may wherever you went, success would follow. Like, it's like when that time of failure comes, especially if you're being ultra successful and like you have not known failure. When it comes, it sometimes hits 2, 3 times harder than someone who's failed, come back, failed, come back. Like you're not going to have that sort of inoculation, that immunization to it. So like, yeah, it will strike deep and it will strike painfully. And to say, yeah, it stuck with you for 14 years, that is one of those things where like people around the world suffer trauma in many different forms and everything like this. And one, like someone will listen to this and go, that's not traumatic. But someone else will like go, oh my God, that is the most devastating thing in the world. For you, it was the most devastating thing in the world because you strike me as a person, when you have a plan, you want to execute that plan almost perfect, like to the realm of perfection, which is a tough cookie to like do because perfection doesn't exist. So like, yeah. So building your, like getting out of that hole and building yourself up. What was the sort of like moment when you were like, okay, yeah, this is what, like, this is, it's not as bad. You mentioned, yeah, it's not as bad. But when did you come to that realization? Can you tell me about that by any chance?
Definitely. And before I go there, I do want to reiterate something you just said. For
Mm,
some people, it may be like, what, really? This is hardly traumatic.
yeah.
But yes, it was at that point for me because it shook my entire foundation
Mm,
of who I believed I was. So, yeah, and it hits somebody much harder if they have not had the inoculation of failure. Very true. So, anyways, coming to the question that you just asked. So, when did it start? When did I realize that it isn't that big of a deal? Well, almost 14 years later, or maybe 14, 15 years later from that point, is when I started accepting that it isn't that big of a deal. So, what I had done between that time is I obviously kept trying to regain myself. So, I went to the most premier management institute in India. I did my MBA from there. I got into KPMG, which was one of the big four accounting firms in the world at that time, and I joined the business consulting practice. I did some great work with one of the biggest conglomerates in India. I was in their co-corporate strategy team. I worked with the founder. I did multi-million dollar deals. I worked on a bunch of great stuff. But all of that was like always trying to put myself and say, you can do this, you're good, just trying to prove myself. And you see the difference when you're constantly trying to prove yourself, you haven't still accepted that that was just one thing, it doesn't define me. And that change happened in 2014. To answer your question
yeah.
specifically, 2014, I as part of, I was part of this talent pool, and I got a executive coach. And he took like 6 sessions for me. It was part of my work, like he would coach me. And although he was there for executive coaching, what he did with me was nothing short of magic. And it was all personal coaching that he did. He gradually got that void out of my system, that black hole that was eating inside, that I didn't get through IIT. And the reason I use those words is because that was precisely what I visualized when he did those sessions with me. And the day it like I brought it up, and I mean, I was just in tears. I was crying, sitting in one of the meeting rooms. He's sitting in front of me. I have that vision so clear in my mind even today. And I'm just crying. I didn't know what more to do. And and it was just that, something inside of me which was constricting was just out. And he helped me understand, he helped me get through the fact that things happen.
Mm,
Not always are things in our control. Just get over it and move on. One thing, one failure in life does not define who you are as a person. You're beyond one engineering degree.
yeah.
That was all that it was.
Mm,
And it was not what he said, it was what he, did, and the feelings he was able to help me work through. And that was so beautiful that that was the day I was a
yeah.
coach, because if you can create this magic in someone's life, you
Like,
just
sorry, you froze for a moment there. I don't know what went on, but if you could just repeat what you just said, that'd be great. Because
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. So I said that after his work with me, I just decided that whenever I'm taking a break
Mm.
from my regular professional career,
Yeah.
I will go get trained myself as a coach because this is the kind of magic that you could do in someone's life. Then it was so beautiful to me.
Mm.
So
Yeah, because like this is the thing. I love the fact that yeah, through like that coaching and development, you like found like yes, you were able to let go of that pain, that scarlet letter, as some people would say, of like failure. But when you go, yeah, it didn't define you, like it didn't define you. But some people would say that failure was most probably one of the most powerful driving forces for you to like go on to succeed, get into KPMG, to like yeah, get into new like companies. I don't know if it was a driving force in a positive energy or a negative energy, because like yeah, you tell me. Good.
I would say all of that, absolutely, I would attribute to that failure.
Mm-hmm.
I have gifts from that failure, which I wouldn't have had otherwise. A lot of my drive, I would attribute to that failure. The reason I wanted to so badly crack IIMs, which is the management institute I'm studying about, Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow, I cracked it so badly that I wanted to go to KPMG. Everything that I actually did till certain point, like almost till getting through KPMG and so on,
Mm,
was very much driven by that. Though after that point, I also started growing as a person. I started realizing, okay, what do I want in my career? Is this working well for me? I want to have children. I can't have the consulting life. I want to move to something which is more customer. I want to work closer to businesses, not just consult them and move away.
mm,
Stay on with them, build a strategy, execute it for them. So these weren't necessarily offshoots of my failure, but my success till that point was definitely driven by that. And so the way I would like to think it is, it didn't define me as a person, but it definitely gave me gifts. Because what defined me as a person was still the person who was a go getter, because I did go and get it. And whether I got that or not never defined me or changed me.
mm. Because
That is the distinction I'll make.
yeah, no, because like this is the thing, you go, yeah, you went through a spate of depression and everything like this, but from KPMG getting your MBA and everything like this, it's like one of those things where it's hard to imagine you went through a spell of depression because, yeah, you may have failed in that one moment, but you succeeded at so many other things, right up until, like, yeah, this very day today, where, yes, you are a CFO and, yeah, you are a coach. You know what I mean? It's like quite fascinating to say the least.
And well, there's one more thing I would say that the failure, uh, my relationship with failure also changed.
Mm.
You know, it's also not that I did not fail at things after that. I failed at a ton of things. I'm sure I did. Like there'll be things I don't even remember now, and there are some I do, which I didn't do as well as I would have wanted to. But failing at something doesn't make me a failure. Is the thing that I built in myself. Which was the difference? Back at the IT time, I was like, I am a failure because I didn't get through. After that, it was like, okay, I have failed. I can get up. I can still go get. And if I were to link back the discussion we've been having, that's exactly why I said that confidence,
Mm.
there is something innate, yes, but there is some that you build over the years because you build the muscle that I can always get up and I can always go after what I want.
Mm. Yeah, no, because like this is the thing. Like one of the things people forget about failure. Now, you like everyone, we laud the most successful people in our society. Like, yes, this person's rich, they're famous, they're this, they're that. we rain down plaudits and we like, yeah, celebrate their lives. But the simple fact of it, if you really sat down and you really analyzed their lives, you were like, oh, you failed here. Oh, you failed there. Oh, you failed here. Oh, failure upon failure upon failure. It's like bricks to like finally build that sort of palace, like grand life of success. But there's a price what has to be paid. And I think people don't realize that, or they're not willing to pay that price. So they stop and then they are truly a failure, you know?
I would say that then they are scared. They
Mm,
could still not be failure if they still tried back. And yes, I totally agree. There is a mental and a real price to be paid for trying and failing again and again. There is. Um, and I can share with you. So we were talking about failure,
yeah.
and it's not like I didn't have it again in my life, but in a very different way.
Mm,
Some people wouldn't even call it failure. So um, we moved from, I used to work in Mumbai, me and my husband, we had our family.
mm-hmm.
He got an opportunity in Dubai. In 2017, we moved to Dubai. I quit my job and I decided I want to take a break. Enough, I've been working for too long. Let me take a break, enjoy my kids, we'll travel, everything. So, and Dubai was a fun place. So it's like, yes, let's do it. So that 1 year, and since I had decided to take a break, I was like, yes, this is the time. Let me go for my coaching. And I signed up. I started a travel blog. I would do all of these things, which I was just dreaming of back. And I finally did.
Yes.
But then 1 year kind of into it, and I was like, I finished my coach training, and I was like, okay, no, I want to get back a job because there's that thing in my head and I wanted to do more of something, and I was like, okay, I need my professional career back. I want to. So I started looking for opportunities, and Dubai, it was difficult for a job to come by at that time. And I got this role with Amazon, um, which on paper said senior finance analyst.
Yes.
Now this is somebody with 11 years of experience, a bunch of which is fairly senior. I was a general manager handling like some $1 billion businesses back in India. And suddenly the job that I'm getting is a senior finance analyst, which is like literally people who've just come out of college would join at that level. So my almost 7 to 8 years of experience, you can say, washed out. And I'm in this fix. Do I take it? Do I not? And my husband's like, you don't have to, we were very well, like,
Yeah, you're doing
we
well.
didn't have to. I didn't have to, like, because of, any constraints. My coaching thing, I was loving it. We were traveling, I would blog. Everything was fine. And he's like, why do you want to, put yourself into this? And it's not even a role that justifies your experience and everything. And I
Mm,
said, okay, Amazon is right now not hiring at senior levels. It's a great company. Should I really care about this? I will make it, I will, rise up the ranks. I will work hard and make it happen. He said, but you will be constantly judging yourself every day when you see people much younger than you at the same levels or even senior to you. Don't forget that. So you said about the price we pay.
mm-hmm.
There are prices we pay at so many different levels we don't realize. And I had heard Sheryl Sandberg say one time that when you're given a chance to sit in a rocket ship, you don't ask which seat. And I was like, in my mind, I'm totally confused. I decided to give it a shot. I was like, it's okay. The role is good. My designation is not. I will work with it. So the role was finance head for like 50% of the business almost in 3 countries
Mm-hmm.
of Middle East, which is UAE, Saudi, and Egypt. And the designation was whatever it was, but the role was pretty meaty. I was responsible for like a significant part of the business, which was also the biggest contributor of profits for that whole setup of Amazon and MENA. MENA is Middle East, North Africa. So I was like, it's fine. I'll take it and I'll make it what I want to make it. I'm saying this now because when I think back in what I did with the role is what I did. But at the point when I was joining, I was like, it's okay, I'll figure out, I'll figure out. I didn't have a plan. I just said to myself, I'll figure out. And every single day was a challenge. I remember a month into the role, I called my husband and I was crying on the phone. I was like, what have I got myself into? I keep making mistakes. I must be such a failure. I must be so bad at it.
Mhm.
I'm in such a junior role and still I'm not able to do it. What I didn't realize was I was coming to a different country. It was a new country, it was a new industry, a new company whose culture is very unique to anything I had worked in India before. I was not giving myself space for any of that. And so then it happened. So there was these 4 or 5 months of extreme agony, the price you pay for trying and getting yourself up again. I paid it. And it paid off. Today, within a span of 4-ish years, 4.5,
Yeah.
I am the head of finance for a $4 billion business in Amazon, sitting in Seattle office.
Now, now this is the thing, like, because going from being heavily corporatized before, like, you moved to Dubai, and then, like, yeah, moving to Dubai and, like, yeah, ah, I'm doing my coaching, I'm now doing a travel blog, everything like this. Look, you're doing the kind of digital nomad life, which, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, 4 hour work week, all of that type of, like, shabazz. Like, like, and then, like, you know, was it like you had freedom, like you had your kids, but you had freedom. You're like your husband, and you're just like, you know what? Freedom, nah, freedom's overrated. It's like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to one of, like, the, like, I'm gonna go to one of the monster like tech companies out there, yeah, at a junior level. Like, like, are you a little bit crazy?
I think that's the thing with some of us. We just cannot. I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
I cannot sit like So one of our coaching exercises, when I was training, we had to give everybody a name which was complete opposite to what their personality is. Imagine the phrase I got. I got a beach bum.
Oh no.
I cannot sit. Like for me, it's like I want to. That's why I'm a work-life maximizer. I want to make the most of my life. And I think it's not only about time, it's about using my talent, using my energy. How much energy could I put in my kids' projects? How
Mhm.
much of it will I put in baking and travel blogging? So, and there is obviously a bit of I'm not using myself enough. I want to. I
Yeah.
want to make the most. So, yeah, I'm a bit crazy, like you said.
Yeah, yeah, because, like, this is the thing. Like, okay, look, I understand totally where you're coming from. Like, yes, working at a level where, yes, you're gonna have someone who's younger than you, like, going, oh yeah, you need to do this, that, the other, and you're looking at them, like, there'll be times where you look at them like a, yeah, just like, yeah, he's like, yeah, just like, no, 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 no. Be calm. Shruti, be calm. Because that is one of those things where, especially if you've got all that experience, like knowing when, like, what to do, but you can't actually act upon doing that, keeping your calm, like keeping your composure, and, like, yeah, keeping that focus to, like, basically, yeah, be the best employee for who you could be and seek out the best opportunities in a company which, let's just say, um, Amazon's not a company, especially when it comes to when you're doing with the sort of more corporate side, like, it doesn't really have a lot of slouches, if you get what I mean. you know?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Mm,
It's not that kind of a company. And honestly, that it is fast paced, of course.
mm,
But it's the culture, as I got to know it as a company, is the
yeah.
culture that keeps me hooked to it even today. Because of, imagine, can you think of other companies? And I don't know if I could have maybe any other company wherein I could have moved roles, teams, learned, succeeded, moved ahead.
Mm,
It gave me the opportunities,
yeah.
this and the support that was needed. So yes, and another thing I would like to add to with that you were saying, the other person, and then you're thinking, oh, I already know how to do this, and but I still have to do it.
Mm,
The small bit that also comes with it, which I learned along the way, was humility. Sometimes wanting to be and willing to learn from people who are younger than you,
hmm.
but maybe they have more of an experience of that organization. Maybe they do know what they're saying. Having the humility to learn from everybody around you, no matter what their age and their designation. I think that is something that this experience and Amazon taught me. Big, big way.
Yeah, no, like this is the thing. Like, yes, I think that's one of the hardest things for people to put their egos aside. I think that's what really sort of traps people in the like places or positions they're in life, and why they don't like succeed or grow as an individual. Basically, they can't get over themselves and have that humility. It's just like, yeah, it just dig in deep like a tick and they can't get over it. Now, but like one of the things I am curious about, because okay, yes, like you had that sort of degree of freedom you had, yeah, with your kids and everything like that, yeah. But like in a company environment like Amazon, how was it sort of like, yeah, balancing that sort I have to ask because like everyone goes, yeah, why ask women about the work-life balance is because like generally when it comes to sort of work life and everything like this, and I'm like I'm I'm learning this more and more. Like more responsibilities at home land on like the lady of the house. Like don't get me wrong,
No, they
husband
are always.
yeah, husband does his thing, but when it comes to like ouches and boo boos and like yeah, want to scream about something, like yeah, to the kids, you're number one. Yeah, dad can like only be there when I have the sense I need some money. There you go. Like yeah, so yeah, how did you get all of that sort of like balance? Because yeah, it doesn't sound like it was you're carrying some light weight. You know what I mean?
And it wasn't so let's start from, that part.
Mm.
One, I don't think work and life is ever balanced, if you know what I mean.
Okay, yeah.
There's always, and that's why sometimes I used to use the word harmony, and then I just decided no, it's actually just the best of both and figuring which one to focus on when.
The ebbs and flows, as
The,
you put it.
the ebbs and flows. It's always like that. Sometimes my work has to take precedence
Mm-hmm.
over my kid, and I'm totally being open about it. At the same time, I have left my office, I have taken meetings and calls from my car because it's important for me to pick up my kid
Mm-hmm.
and leave her there, kind of a thing. So for me, I think what I first joining Amazon the first year was obviously tough. I will not, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was super tough. I can only imagine how tough probably it was on my kids. Maybe they felt it more than I did
Mm-hmm.
because, kids can't even say everything. Sometimes they feel a lot more. It was tough for our family, and I have to give it to my husband. He was, except for making projects in the boo booth, he was really there at all times. When I had to go work, and there was times I had to work weekends, not like go, but just like in my house, work weekends and things, he was super supportive.
Mm.
I have to really give it. If you want to drive that harmony in your life, you have to have a supportive partner, whatever they may be. The second thing is I built systems everywhere to make sure the regular things were taken care of. So our nanny, so we had a nanny, 24-hour nanny, he used to stay with us.
Mm-hmm.
Our nanny had their schedules of all their classes and everything. We would make a menu on the weekend, so we knew what was getting cooked for the whole week, what were the kids, taking for their lunches, everything. So the regular things have to be made in such a manner that it runs like a machine and you don't have to worry about this. Whenever I would get time, I would even think about, okay, these are the birthdays which will be coming up. Let's just order gifts because so that at the last moment when you're getting ready for a birthday party, you know you can just take one, pack it,
Mm.
take it with you. Things like these. You have to think of things, what all will be needed, which you can automate. Delegate work. So the nanny, I would tell her, like, I figured I put the Uber account on her phone, connected it to whatever. She could take the kids in Uber, get them back for any short distances, which we were comfortable with. Dubai was very safe anyways. So I didn't have to do the driving, to and from things. So there are these simple mechanisms that I put in place such that when I'm at work, I can focus. And the moment I'm home, that is it. Until they sleep, I'm not getting my laptop back open.
I have to ask this because, like, yeah, because there are going to be people out there. I don't have a nanny or anything like this. But what made you get a nanny? Why did you get that nanny?
So at that point, Dubai, it was easy. And I can even talk about when you don't have a nanny, because right now I don't. In the US, it's too expensive to get nannies, I'll be honest.
It's like, but you work for Amazon. Surely not. You're a CFO. Surely not. Yeah, so no, yeah, like in Dubai, yeah, I've got nanny money. In the US, it's like
Pay taxes.
it's like,
They-
it's like more money, more problems. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, there, it was simple. I was trying to outsource the things which I could without an impact on my kids.
Mhm.
So that was as simple as that. For everything else, I wanted to be present for them for everything that mattered. And so that's why we decided to get a nanny.
Mhm.
Um, and then in the US, we moved to the US in like 2021. And ever since that time, we haven't had a nanny here, and we are managing pretty well ourselves because we've now put the same mechanisms in place. The other thing which I did back in India, because I used to send my kids to a daycare back in India. We didn't have nanny in India. And here, the same thing is I am very clear with whoever I'm working with, no matter, the role or whatever. I tell them that, listen, there will be times I have to step out of office. I'll let you know beforehand, but I need to do this. There will be times my kids are priority. There will be times the work is priority. So I have had my kids sleeping on my lap and me working on a financial model back in like India days. I have done that. And I have even done that. I've left a meeting in between because I got a call from the school and I'm closer to the school than my husband's office is. And I would go pick them up, or whatever, runny nose and blah, blah. Things keep happening. Yeah. Or they have like a project day and they want the parents to be there. And I have to be there for my kid. It's simple. Never should they ever get a feeling my mom was not there
Mm.
to see me shine. I have to be there for them. So that's why I said I don't know if I would call it a balance, but for me, it's like prioritize where it's needed, automate where you can.
Mm.
It's simple.
Yeah. No, the reason why I asked this, yes, one, yes, because your mother in a highly corporate like position, but it's one of those things where I think people don't realize, and this goes for men, ladies, doesn't matter, like doesn't matter. If you don't have certain structures in play, if you don't have like sort of certain structures, systems, as you like said. Like, yes, time gets away from us and our focus drifts quite easily. Trust, like when they go, yes, look at a person's calendar and you'll have an idea of what their life is like. Trust me, like my calendar, I won't lie, sometimes shambolic, but that's another story. But it's, I would say it stands very true to what like people's lives in general. And I think when people like go, yeah, I want to succeed, I want to do great things, they don't actually put systems into play for their lives to make things easier when those ebbs and flows come. So they can like, oh yeah, this is happening. So I can, yeah, make that a priority. This is now a priority. But they just simply like, oh yeah, they just see either they see priorities everywhere, so they don't act, or they don't see any priorities and they don't act. So it's like, yeah, tricky, you know?
It is. And that's why you have to determine what are your priorities.
Mm,
The other thing I'll add there is I have never been the kind of a person who'll say, okay, I want to spend 2 hours with my kids,
mm,
just like whatever. No, for me, it's like I want to spend that time, but I want to be mindful that whatever that time is, it's fully with them. So even now, kids they play outside, and then when the sun's down, like by almost 6:37, they're back in. And from that time to almost till they sleep, and then my husband and I are catching up on the dishes and things, wrapping up the house, till almost 9:30, it's my family time. Even if the world is burning down, I don't care. It's simple. Because when my kid is sitting with me and telling me about what happened with him, my younger one, at
mm,
school and how they're talking about Pokemon and whatnot, he wants somebody to listen. And you have to listen and truly listen, not like just swiping through your phone and like, huh, yes, Bart, huh, not like that. Kids can sense it really quickly if you're not there. And if you truly want to build long term, think long term, this is the time you need to invest with them today. These small things build relationships, you know? So the next time you're busy, they'll understand because every time else you've been there for them. And I think it's important to think of priorities in a more longer term basis. So that's one thing I would definitely a plug I would put in there. Even if you're spending half an hour, make that half an hour count.
mm.
That's it.
Yeah, I have to ask. Now, I like that. I like that a lot. But I do have to ask. Now you're starting this new chapter in your life as a coach. It's like it's like you've had sort of three sort of clear definitions of your life. Like, yes, like basically, well, four if you count this as well. Because like, yes, working in corporates and like basically managing, going to Dubai and like, yeah, basically living the life of leisure. So lazy. Oh, you're scandalous. Like coming to Amazon and now like basically having the epiphanal moment where you had sat down with your like with that business coach who like had you like sobbing like in that meeting room, that and which has basically inspired you to become a coach today. What would you say has been the sort of like biggest sort like what did you see, how did you see a coach before you became a coach? How did like what was the differences in like perception to practicality?
Before I became a coach, my only data point was him.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know many coaches. Before I met him, I didn't even know there was something called a coach.
Mm,
Uh, but the differences that I can tell you now that I've been a coach for almost 5 years, so I still coach, I still do corporate sessions, I do all of that. That's still a part of my everyday. And the difference or the way I've evolved, I think, is that when I started out, I was just a coach. Like
Hmm.
I would just coach from the basics, the fundamentals that I learned at CTI was the institute that I did my training in, and whatever I learned, I would just apply that and do it. Over time, what I've integrated it with is my own experiences and often what people want to also know. And when we have these one on one or sessions or masterclasses, I combine what, if you can call it mentoring,
Hmm.
bits of mentoring with coaching. So I don't know if that's what your question was, that how has it evolved for me, or was it
Like,
something
because,
different?
because like this is the thing. Like, okay, um, before like when someone gets into something new, they always have an idea. This is how it is, and like this is like it works A B C D, and when they get into it, it often is it's like oh where did Q R X like it's totally different to when they start like you know what I mean.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Yes. Okay, now I get it.
Mm.
So coaching as a profession I can speak to, if that
Yeah, please.
works. Yes. So of course, when I got trained, I was like, okay, I will go to people, they will, pay me for coaching them, and it's
Mm.
gonna be this hunky dory, easy ride up. It never is,
Yes.
if you didn't know. So, um, and I can start with the different issues that I faced along the way, right? So the first one was it wasn't as easy to just get clients, first of all.
Mm.
And so coaching is a thing that you can get good at it only by doing it, right? It's like swimming. You have to do swimming to learn swimming. You can't just read the books and do it. So that was my first thing. How do I get clients? So the first year, like after I got my certification, I like literally paid people for coffee, and they paid me for coffee and stuff. So literally that was my thing. I got my paid sessions, even if they paid me $10 or whatever, because I wanted to at least get certified as an ACC. And I was like, let me at least get that. I'll be a legit coach. And then let's see if it makes any difference. Did it make a lot of difference? Not exactly, because as a profession, my networks were mostly in India, Middle East at that time. And people were still wary about coaching. They didn't know much about what it was. And paying just suddenly was like weird. But the way I did it then was a friend reached out. She was a fellow coach. She was based in UK. And she reached out that, would you be willing to do pro bono coaching for actors? I was like, yes, absolutely. I want to keep practicing. And I worked with a lot of actors, almost we like 30-ish actors during that 1.5 year period, all pro bono. But it was one of the most fulfilling periods of my life, because it was amazing working with actors and letting them get over the insecurities and let them open up to somebody in a safe space. It was beautiful to watch. That's what I wanted out of coaching. And I was like, it's fine. I'm in a full time job. I will do it because of its fulfillment factor. So that was the second pivot that I made, that I will coach. So, first of all, let me just continue coaching, whether I get paid for it or not, because I don't want to lose a muscle. The third pivot then happened that people started. I obviously used to listen to a ton of podcasts, business building, this, that. And people would say, okay, you have to find your niche, you have to find your ideal client. And this is like the usual thing any coach will relate to, if anybody is listening, and they will know this. All of us need to have a niche and an ideal client and everything. And I started working on that. Okay, so what is my niche? What is my ideal client? And then I started working with a lot of middle level executives. So it so happened that through a friend, I got introduced to an intermediary company called Boone. Through Boone, I worked with a lot of clients. Then I got signed up on Growth Space, Better Up. So I figured that business development from my own side is going to be tricky. Signed up and partnered with these. And that's how I started figuring what my niche is. I was like, I can't just get up one day and say, this is my niche. No, I have to figure. And so that's how I started figuring, okay, because my executive roles that I've had, my experience really adds on to my coaching when I can tell them from experience how they should be thinking of things.
Mhm.
That's when I figured, okay, so this is what it is. So my plan back in 2018 was 3 to 4 years down the line, quit the job, move into coaching full time. It doesn't pan out ever. You have to keep making pivots based on what you're seeing, the realities of the business and the world to be. And in between all of that, we moved countries. My kids were growing up. My husband started his own startup. So today he has his own fund. So one of us wanted to stay on in a role which is like more, constant flow.
Yes.
And those kind of things, the realities of life, happen. And I don't want him to sacrifice his dreams because now suddenly I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'll just go and give up everything. So
Mm. No, no. You strike me as a very practical person when it comes to that, and yeah, adjusting to those. Well, adjusting to the ebbs and flows. You like, yeah, it's one of those things. You've got systems, but it's one of those things you put into full practice. From what I get from you, but I am curious because like this is the thing: being a corporate leader and being a coach. Are they the same thing or are they different?
I'm wondering how should I answer the question because I leverage my experience
Mm,
in both, like from both in both.
yeah.
The core skills of coaching, if you think about them, what are they? Listening well, truly listen to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like between the lines, and everything. But truly listen. I use it all the time in my parenting and with my direct reports and with my teams all the time. When my daughter comes and says, yeah, it was an okay day. Okay, what's going on? Right? Second core skill, curiosity. And Amazon has a principle called learn and be curious. Totally go hand in hand. Finance is all about getting curious about what's going on with that number, with that trend. Why aren't we making what we were supposed to? Curiosity in coaching is all about, okay, what's going on beneath the surface? Let's hit the root cause. Let's understand, peel the layers. And then the third thing is about giving space, definitely. Um, and, asking powerful questions, giving them the space to be able to answer them. So give your team the comfort and the space that they can come up with you with anything that's going wrong. But at the same time, ask them the right questions that leads them in the right directions. And and like I said, I whatever I learned from my executive side of things, from my people leadership, I kind of, mentor other folks across Amazon globally as well as outside of Amazon in my coaching, in my mentoring, all of that. So sometimes I think that, at the core of a lot of things, it's really the same three. And if you think about relationships, I will say it's very much the same three. If you don't give space for people to be themselves, just imagine the kind of relationship you're in. So these are so fundamental that if you ask me, is there commonalities? I guess yes, for sure. And of course, they are day and night apart because when from a meeting, I have to move to my coaching, there is a thing I need to just like be now. Okay, I'm not thinking about what's going on with my business. Now it's all you. So, so that's different. It's just that person and that's it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Now, I have to ask, uh, where would you like to be in, say, the next 3 to 5 years?
I ask myself this question every month.
Hey, look, like and like you know what? You ask this question every month. Like, you know what? I'm asking this now because I'm just like, look, I started a podcast because I'm most probably deep down inside quite nosy. And yes, it gives me the opportunity to ask these questions of like people I've just met. And they are compelled to most probably answer quite honestly. Mm. It puts me in a good place. It makes me happy. So, where would you like to be in 3 to 5 years' time? Hmm.
Hmm. 3 to 5 years time.
Yeah.
And listen, don't hold me to any of this,
I
but
it's a, no, like no one's listening. Everyone in Amazon is
no
listening.
one's listening.
It's like it's like oh.
Okay. My personal goals in 3 to 5 years time.
Mm,
Um, Definitely a book.
okay. Oh.
Second, I think I want to make my coaching and the corporate session practice a lot bigger than what it is today.
Mhm.
And I have, like you said, the ABCD plan, I have that in place. What happens, we'll see.
Okay.
And those would be the big. And then the last one, I think, is not more me. It's like as a family, in 5 years down the line, we'll see how my husband's fund is doing and where are we settled as a family and everything. So yeah, that's more of a family goal we have.
Mm. Now, if there like my final question, I'll have to say, yeah. Now, if there was a bit of coaching you could have given your younger self, what would that have been?
The younger self back define the years for me. It'll change.
Oh, no, 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 like this is the thing. You think about if you sum it all up, like what would be one of those key pieces of coaching you would have given your younger self?
Hmm.
Mm, just having to think deep, people.
I think I would have told myself two things. Um, the first one will be if you could see the future, you will know that everything happens for good and take my word for it because I've seen the future. And the second thing that I would say will be that nothing in life that happens, good or bad, a phenomenal success or a phenomenal failure, ever defines who you are inside. Those would be the two things I would say.
Sage and wise words. Sage and wise words. Ah, love it. Shakti, thank you for coming on to the podcast today. You have been brilliant. You have been wonderful. You have been a delight. And thankfully, you do not have like a large space army at your disposal or you'll enslave us all. Is that right? Would you be able to tell people how they can find you out on these interwebs?
Absolutely. It was a pleasure being on your show and chatting with you. It was so much fun. Thank you for having me, first of all.
Oh.
And people can get in touch with me on LinkedIn, Shruti Rustagi, my own website, shrutirustagi.com. And then every month, I run a free masterclass for anybody who would like to join in. Um, in June, it's going to be on the 15th, 11 a.m. PST,
Mhm.
um, bit.ly maximize work life. And you will see the link in show notes as well. So come join me and we'll have some more fun together.
Ah, excellent. Yes, we shall. Yes, we shall. Ah, yes. I'd like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of the show. Please, hey, stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic. Be all the positive bees you could be in this world and then some. And remember, keep pushing forward. Peace. And we are